Welcome to the latest edition of Leader Brand Yourself Insights. In this episode, we are going to talk about Lead Like You Mean It, the power of personal brand and leadership. As always, I'm going to try to keep this short and very actionable. So, what are we seeing? We're seeing a shift in leadership where organizations are flattening. We're seeing this especially in tech, but I am also hearing about it across industries. So companies like Microsoft, like Google, and others, we're hearing about the layoffs. We're hearing about a flattening of the organization, hearing it across some other industries as well. Forbes is calling this unbossing. And the impact that it's having, on the one hand, when you flatten an organization, that can mean people stepping up and being more empowered. In other ways, it can mean feeling like there is a vacuum in the leadership. And so Forbes says, as of May 2025, this great flattening is creating leadership vacuums, with over a third of employees reporting that they feel directionless due to the lack of managerial guidance. So I have a theory because I think there's a lot of great managers out there. And I think that managers are really good at managing around I'll call it maybe the hard skills, or sort of the data stuff, right? The what we're supposed to be doing, what the tasks are, what the strategy is in terms of, the goals and objectives that we have. Maybe those are revenue goals, something else. But there's a lot of managers who are really great at speaking about those things. In this era of disruption, this special, time of disruption, what's missing is the emotional piece, the feeling connected to a team, connected to a leader, feeling trust in a team and trust in a leader. And that's where I think brand comes in. So I want to talk a little bit about what this means for leaders, for managers in particular, and I want to talk a little bit about what this means for non-managers. So right now, one of the things it means, especially for managers, but really for everyone, is that there is a role for personal brand because, and I know I've said this before, but I like to really drill it home. Your brand is your concrete expression of your intent in the world. This is the axis from which you lead and the foundation for building trust with others so that they can follow. A strong brand has these components. It inspires those who are already aligned with your vision and makes them feel that additional sense of teaming and belonging to a cause, a purpose that's greater than just themselves. It creates clarity for those who aren't aligned, because a lot of the times people aren't aligned because they're resisting, they're just not sure. They don't know how they fit. They don't know what you really stand for, so they don't know if they're on board or out. So it creates that clarity. It allows people to sort of decide, right? I'm either in or I'm out. And it powers decision making, yours and others, and it energizes your team. I want to just take a moment to say around creating clarity for those who are not aligned. I've often talked about brand in terms of being like an API or a handshake. Sometimes when we put our brand out there strongly, the response is, no, not for me. Whether that's, a role that you interviewed for and they said you're not the candidate, or those are people who choose to leave a team that you're managing. That's okay. Because sometimes that decision is going to be that it's time for a person to move on because they don't feel that strong alignment to the brand, the impact that you're driving in the world. And so they step out. What you don't want is people hanging around in the organization feeling disempowered, feeling disconnected, or feeling actively resistant to what you're up to and what you're trying to achieve. So for managers and team leaders, Showing up, communicating, being consistently and authentically on brand does two things. It creates clarity, consistency, and authenticity, which inspires others. So they see that in you and they think, I want a piece of that, or I want to be a part of that. It also powers decision making. So a lot of times things come up and we're sort of thinking, this is a really tough decision. I don't really know what way to go. If you are firmly grounded in brand, which, implies that, again, you know what you are up to in the world and what you are taking a stand for. You know how you're going after that in a unique and differentiated way that is yours alone, based on your experiences, your point of view, your expertise, etc. And you know why it's important to you and important to the world. When you have those three things and you are grounded in that, you are very grounded in decision making as well. So how do you go about communicating, your leader brand message? You do these three things. You share what you are up to in the world with confidence, often broadly. So sometimes I think people believe they say something once and it sticks and everybody knows. That's not how it works. Many times I think you would know that there are examples of leaders who get up into a room and they start a presentation the same way every time for a year because they know that it's super, super important to repeat, tell that story of what you're up to, sharing that story with clarity, what I'm up to, what this team is up to, with confidence, often, consistently, and broadly. Stand out. Don't be afraid to stand out. You have unique experiences, talents, points of view. You have a vision that maybe other people don't have. So make sure that you infuse your message with that unique point of view and make it clear what is unique about the way that you're seeing this thing that you're up to. And lastly, inspire trust by being fully and actively present in your why. This means that V word, vulnerability, helping us know you enough that we understand why you are getting out of bed every day, excited and energized to be here doing what you're doing. Maybe there's a backstory to it. Maybe there's, something about your family or your values that makes this the place that you really want to be right now in the world. Let us know. Let us into the secret a little bit. You don't have to share it in a highly detailed way, but when you let your team connect with you on that level, it inspires trust in a way that other things simply can't. So I'm going to tell a little story. I had a client that showed up in a moment really beautifully, or at a point in time really beautifully, which is, again, tech industry, very impacted by layoffs right now. Really hard on managers who are having to be the messenger in those decisions, having to let go of people that they're sad to let go of, etc. So that's really hard. And I think what I'm hearing from several people right now is the hardest thing is the people who are still at the company after the layoff. How do I re-inspire them, reignite them, help them feel connected and in a place of trust again? Super hard. So one of the things that I saw that really was working was um, leaning in to the brand. And not being afraid to share that vulnerability. So, basically along the lines of, I don't, I can't give you a solid answer about whether this job will be here in a year or this team will look the same way in a year. What I can tell you is I'm seeing this tremendous opportunity still to transform the organization, and that's what I'm here for, and that's what I'm about. And I think if you orient yourself to that, then you're going to be okay. I thought that was a fantastic use of, that sort of core brand, which is I'm here for this. This is going to be my legacy. I still believe in it. I'm going to go strong on it until someone tells me that I can't. I love that. And I think it was very effective. So I have a little try this in here. Use I believe statements. Use this inspires me statements. So, for example, I believe we have an opportunity to impact X. This inspires me because. And I think that kind of language really helps people connect with, again, kind of your innate why, which is inspiring trust. So, what about leadership without a title? What do we do if we're not a people manager, or if you're leading a small team? Leaders of larger teams, I want you to keep listening because you're going to want your folks on your team to be thinking in this way. Right now is the time to show up with leader presence that does not depend on your title or your place in the organization. Why? Because structures are shifting too fast to rely on those titles and positions. So, for example, I have heard more than one story in the last month of with the flattening of the organization, people from managing, a particular size team to being left with either half that size team or a very small team, or even in one case, no team at all. So the organization is shifting too fast for your leadership identity to be, hinging on a very specific management role or title. Projects are also getting moved around. So if you were leading a particular project and you were really hinging your brand on a specific project, that could change as well. Instead, what we want to hinge on again is this greater sense of brand, a leadership narrative that goes with you from role to role, from organization to organization, and weathers those shifts in the organization. The second thing is that we are all living in a time. The second thing is because oftentimes people who are closest to the day-to-day operations of the business can be most effective at identifying both new opportunities and solving problems because you are in the thick of it. So, for example, I've just included in this, you can all click on the download and get this if you want. Torch Leadership Report of 2025 said that leaders who foster trust through transparency, experimentation, and human connection are far more effective at guiding teams through change. Trust between leadership levels makes or breaks change efforts. So people trust people, not systems right now. So this is changing. People are placing their faith more in people that they trust, less so than the systems and the organizations, because the organizations keep changing. Let's talk about the second one just a little bit more. Sitting in the trenches, sometimes I think people write themselves out of the story, or they think, I don't have this leadership title, so I'm not really the one to lead the charge on this thing. I think that right now the opportunity is so prime to step in because there is this vacuum to step in and say, hey, I see a solution to this thing. I am hearing this from customers. I have a vision for how this could be different or better. And the title isn't what makes you a leader. It's the willingness to take that stand and to articulate it clearly and articulate why you believe in it so passionately. How do you start as an individual leader? Well, number one, take a step back and listen to yourself. There are probably one or two things you are already talking about on a weekly basis to anyone who will listen. This is your thing. Take a stand for it. Now's the time. And then do the same thing, which is to share what you're up to in the world with confidence. Share it broadly to anyone who will listen because you never know where your allies are going to come from. Don't be afraid to stand out. Don't be afraid to say, I believe or I see this differently. Inspire trust by being fully and actively present in your why. Why is it that you see this the way that you do? And it may be as simple as I had an experience of this, a direct experience of this thing happening. So I know for a fact that this is what other people are experiencing as well. Or, um, I talk to customers every day, and this is what I'm hearing from customers every day. And it's difficult that we're not solving this for customers, but I have a vision for that. Embrace your own authority. It comes from your experience and your ability to articulate your intent. It doesn't come extrinsically from a title. So, a few closing thoughts here. Brand as a leadership stance. Leadership is not bound by the walls of a boardroom. It does not hinge on authority vested by a title. With the amount of turbulence we're feeling in the world right now, we need individual contributors, individuals to step up and lead cross-organizational initiatives, lead change initiatives that solve systemic problems. Whether you are a manager or not, your credibility, your impactful leadership is not coming from that title. It's about clarity, consistency, inspiration, and connection. True leaders do not wait for the promotion. They lead with passion, conviction, and audacity. They understand that the best ideas and the boldest change initiatives can be initiated by anyone at any stage of their career. In fact, it's better. It's better if there's always a mix. So what's the challenge? Here's some things I want to leave you with. First of all, don't wait for permission to lead. Today's organizations need leaders at every level to take a stand and bring real solutions. Inspire. Your brand is not just how you show up, it's how you inspire and it's how you leave a legacy. So thanks very much. I hope that helps. I'm here for you anytime. Just book me on the site. I can always take a half an hour to talk to my most treasured community. Take care.